budgeting is magical. It gives me clarity to think what I have in future, what can I invest in future. Yeah, it will give you clarity and responsibility to take actions. So you have to distinguish what are your needs and what are your wants. What are the retirement plans government is providing us, especially for the private sectors? It's none. Okay, so we have to make our own retirement plan, a financial freedom plan. Do the budgeting, make an emergency fund, plan your proper insurance, have some funds for your financial freedom corpus, then you apply for your short term or aspiration goals which you're looking for.
Now, buying a house is a very emotional decision. Why are you saying कि आप एकदम last में करो? Because lot of people they'll always have this कि नहीं यार मतलब घर लेना है. So we are ready to sacrifice on something else. ऐसे करेंगे तो घर कभी खरीदेगा वो?
Valid question, Jinay, actually. सही बोला आपने. You have to put your surplus in such a way that everything is coming eventually will reach that particular goal.
Oh, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's been a very long time, and we are doing this podcast on personal finance. As we were just discussing some time back at the Thinkly basis, it's been a couple of months, and the time just flew. Now, in these couple of months, lot of things have happened. And one of the things जो अभी बहुत हुआ है, very something which is very close to our hearts as Indians, is the Pahalgam terror attack and the way India has responded and the way Pakistan's been stated out as a terrorist state. I think kudos to the national leadership, kudos to Indian Army, the DGMOs. I remember it very well ki I think just when Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif announced how they won and India did not respond for the next 12 to 17 hours. वहां पे there was a lot of people who had lost faith in the government. A lot of people were like, अच्छा हम लोग हार गए हैं. And then the three DGMOs came. The three DGMOs came back and gave out their proofs how they've done it, and suddenly the entire thing was back. And this is what even me and our guest today, Neha Patel, we were just discussing how India needs to win the narrative game. Something that we tremendously lack. But I think now with the Gen Zs, the millennials, the ones who are relatively better exposed to the global circumstances at a very early stage in their lives and career, they will be able to fight this narrative war for us. And I think, Neha, if you would like to say a couple of words before we start our today's session.
I totally agree with you, Jinay, because I've seen so many Gen Zs now very aware about how the narrative is playing a role in this war. So they normally, I was seeing one Gen Z was giving influencer was giving this talk that they really knew that there were two wars going on. One is on the field, and second is on the net, on the on the internet, on the social media. They were very clear, and I keep on following her, and she was very precise about the knowledge she was giving. Only the official sides of government was there on her social media page, and very clear about what the native was, and not at all misleading. Yeah, because war between two countries are between two countries, but when it goes outside, the narrative can change tremendously. It can be on any other side. So we have to be very careful. And I feel Gen Zs are very aware right now and they are going in the right path.
Absolutely. I think you've just stated it very brilliantly. And with that, I would like to formally welcome you today for the podcast. You've been quite generous in giving us your time because you actually have your own version of Ask Me Anything that you do every Sunday on Instagram. I think it's a huge initiative when it comes to financial literacy that you are any which way is taking, and giving us a little bit of your learnings from there. There will be some questions from the audiences. We'll be taking them as well. And along with that, what we'll try and figure out is what is that 0 to 100? What is that initial phase, the initial acceleration that every Gen Z and a millennial, people our age, really need to understand, because the concept of money has completely changed. So, like our parents would be more comfortable having a fixed deposit, a few mutual funds here and there, but now this generation is more towards equities, crypto, some market linked debt, and there's too many things. But let's try and simplify. The
Mm.
whole idea is to try and simplify as much as possible. I know we will not be able to, because it is finance, the jargons are like that.
We'll try our best.
Yes, absolutely. We will try our best. So, with that, Nadia, I really want to first understand from you, and here you can also talk about yourself a bit of how you entered this industry, and what have you what actually made you be in this industry. So, I really want to first understand is what are the personal experiences that have basically shaped your view of what is finance, what is financial freedom, why achieve financial freedom, why have personal finance. So I want to learn about that first.
Very interesting questions, and actually, that's how I started my journey for being on the financial planning path. Was so when I completed my when I completed my graduation, my next question was what I have to do next. Yeah, because the clarity there is not that much. So I asked myself, like, what do I really want to do in my life? Like, really passionate about me, and that is where it came. Where I don't know about the personal finance. Yeah, personal finance in the sense I was 26 when 25 when I got my first job. But when I did my master's, I was around 23, right? And I had no idea what are investments in the market, how banking works, because I didn't had my bank account at that point of time. And I was like, why do I don't know this? What is this source which is stopping me? Why my parents are not educating me? Why the school is not educating me? Why I'm so handicapped when it comes to finances, when it comes to take my own decisions. Yeah. For me, I was 23. So many people there out who start earning at 23. They start earning money at 23. How would they manage their money, right? And then I was like, no, I have to know that. And that is how I started searching for, like, to know about personal finance. And I got to know there's a master's degree in personal finance, financial planning. And I was like, this is it. This is what I wanted to do. So after my graduation, after my thorough research and asking a lot of questions to myself, I did this course. The university is from Mysore University, but they do have a campus in India, which is in Mumbai, which I did. And it really opened my mind. Yeah. You might say it's a very basic knowledge which already there in the market. But when it got to me, it really opened my mind. And I thought, why this is not given to me when I really need it? And I opened my first bank when I took a loan for my master's. That is how I opened my bank account. And when I got to know about the basics of finances, what are the investments, what are the more options, what are the asset class there in the market, what is the risk involved in that? And like this is the knowledge where everyone should get educated in, because this is very basic, because everybody is going to have money in their life. Everybody is going to start earning in certain stage of their mind, of their life, and they should have this knowledge. So yeah, and I started my journey after that. When I started my journey as a financial planner, there was no as such title called financial planner. So I started my journey with financial planning as a mutual fund company, as a relationship manager, and the banking sector was my area to work in. And that's how I started. I got to know about the people who started investing. For example, somebody would be retired, coming to the bank for the money requirement. Somebody would be just starting earning, just started a salary or her salary, and they are coming to, and I was like, okay. And I had that knowledge which I can give them. Yeah. Yet I was a relationship manager for mutual fund. I could only sell mutual fund. But then I thought, let me use this tool which is given to me and giving me permission to use this job to help them in their financial planning. Yeah. So except that, I used to give them small advices which I've learned from my master's degree, and which actually made good relationship with them, and they got that trust. Okay, she really going to help me in that, and that's how it. That's how it intrigued me, give me that passion. And I was like, no, I can't stop there. This knowledge has to come. I'll do whatever in my hand in whichever capacity I can. And I like, okay, during lockdown, I had not much to do. And I like, let me just sit every Sunday and start sending this message. And that's how I started my life. And whatever knowledge I have, whatever questions people have, I keep answering every Sundays. And it gives me so much satisfaction and joy that at least I can help somebody, someone, at least one person to align their finances.
Really very good. I mean, but I think there's one thing which is very interesting from all this is we always start a bank account when there is
Mm,
something, some
yeah,
trigger event. So for you, the trigger
yeah,
event was
no,
a loan. For me, the trigger event was my first job. So when I was doing my articleship, and apparently I was in one of the top four companies in India. So HDFC relationship manager had come and he was explaining us how the bank works. And that was the first time even I saw what a debit card actually means, how
yeah,
so probably, this Gen Z might not understand as of today. I don't know whether they do, whether they don't. That's up to you to tell me how it works for them. But I can tell you about my understanding was the day I got my debit card, I went down. He told me that you have to reset the ATM pin and all that. Now I don't remember because we use it so frequently, it's just become a second nature to us. So went, set the ATM pin, did everything, and when you punch in the debit card and money comes, it suddenly felt like power. It suddenly felt very, very different,
yeah,
right? To but so I'm just trying to think about the fact is like bank account is one of the most basic hygiene, right? To manage money, uh, to have financial independence or to even think about financial independence. And yet it
mm,
requires a trigger event probably somewhere in the mid 20s for a lot of us.
mm.
What do you think about that? I mean, how do we change? How do we, do something about that part?
See, for us, it was a problem. For Gen Z, it's not. For
Okay.
them, banking is very accessible. It's on their application. So
Mm,
there is a thing called in Kotak. There is a bank. Just an example,
mm,
not an example. Reality how the Kotak works. There's a minimum amount bank account where you can just open with zero bank account. You don't. You just have to do your KYC and on. And every app that application have everything in it, which our normal banking has. Yeah. So they can do their banking sector. Now it's very accessible. At my time, I never remember that they have that kind of facilities when I opened my bank account, when I got my first salary account. Yeah, I was not aware. And it is so accessible for them. Not only that, they do have different kind of applications available right now. For example, there's an application for investments, and they made it so easy to invest that it's just on their tip. They just do it, and they're more advanced compared to I was when I was in my 20s and I started earning. I had no knowledge about it. The investments options available, the applications available. I think so they are more accessible right now compared to what we were previously. The
It is
technology, the fintech technology has really increased.
agreed. When you say ki now since they're making a lot of payments via UPI, probably Google Pay, Paytm, Phone Pay, whatever they're
Yeah.
using, their inclination towards opening a bank account is much higher than probably what it was for most of us. Agreed. There's a very interesting question that suddenly come up from one of our listeners,
Mm,
Anjali, that
mm,
she wants to understand, in your opinion, what are
mm.
common money myths that Gen Z needs to unlearn ASAP? उनको सीखना नहीं, उनको unlearn करना. I think what you are saying is also what she's also understanding कि हाँ मतलब सीख तो बहुत चुके हैं.
हाँ,
मतलब अभी क्या
अंडर
बस.
जैसा कुछ है नहीं, बट समथिंग आई फील इज they should have basic financial planning knowledge, just basic, nothing much, which they can follow. Because now there are so many mistakes, there are so many options available out there. that they don't know what is the right option to go for. Yeah, and it makes really complicated for them to follow it. For me, is not unlearn to learn something from it is like to make financial planning very basic. Yeah, and whatever questions it's going to come, everything will come to that. What I'm going to talk right now is to have a basic financial plan, not to make so much complicated. What investment is right? What this investment is right? It makes even when I speak, it makes so much complication. Like, but solution to do क्या है, क्या follow करना है, right? So for me myself, when I started earning, I tell you the basic formula I use, and I still follow that path. It has improved, but the base is same. The first base is I always do budgeting. Always do budgeting, and budgeting is magical. I'll tell you why. Because it gives me clarity to think what I have in future. What can I invest in future? Yeah. It will stop you from overspending. Yeah. And stop you for lending money from your parents, from your friends, which you have to give back next month. Right. It will give you clarity and responsibility to take action. So normally there are if Jina, I have time, I can also explain how the budgeting is done, right?
Go on, because
So, yeah, it's going to be a little brief, but I would like to say it right
go
now.
on detail, because see, I'll tell you what, there are
Yeah,
these listeners out there who are Gen Zs and millennials.
yeah,
Now, what happens is, they try and meet or talk to a lot of people, but nobody decodes it step by step. और थोड़ा सा practical क्या हो सकता है, कैसे कर सकते हैं, we can touch those areas also. So you can please feel
perfect.
free to.
I would love to. I would love to. So, first step is to do your budgeting. Okay. So, budgeting is how do you do budgeting? Commonly, you list down all your expenses. Yeah. Let us go one step further. Yeah. List down all your regular expenses and irregular expenses. And now, what are the irregular expenses? Are your annual expenses, which is your monthly spending on your Diwali vacation or Diwali clothing or Diwali shopping or annual holidays are such your annual expenses which you incurred at the end of the year, yeah, or once a year. So make that provision in your current expenses itself, yeah. So what I do is I make regular expenses and irregular expenses and divide that irregular expenses to 12 and combine both of them, and that is my total expenses, yeah, minus the inflow, whatever your salary, other inflows, dividend, जो भी आपको आता है, divide minus by that, and that is your surplus. Yeah. एंड आप कैसे वो उसको प्रोविजन करेंगे आपके इरेगुलर एक्सपेंसेस को, यू मेक एन आरटी ऑफ इट, या दिस इज हाउ यू मेकिंग अ सिस्टम स्टेप बाय स्टेप. सो वंस यू नो द सरप्लस, अभी सरप्लस को हम अपने प्लानिंग में जाएंगे. दिस इज अ बेसिक ऑफ फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग. या इट्स लाइक यू मेकिंग अ बिल्डिंग and you're making the base very strong so that whatever you grow on top of that, it does not go down. Yeah, it does not fall. So the first is your emergency fund, which is your uncertain event in your life, which is your job. You can lose your job. You might feel that you need to study more and get a new, better job. Yeah. In case if you lose a job, to get the job as per your capability, as per your, how you have earned the experience, as per your earned experience, you need to have at least 6 months of expense. Yeah. And what are the expense? The expense that you did on your budgeting, your irregular and regular expenses, plus your monthly investments into 6 months. Yeah. Your investment should also not stop with that. Into 6 months, which is your emergency corpus. Yeah, you need to have that target with yourself. And how you're going to allocate and create that emergency fund is the surplus which we got from minusing your income, your inflow minus your outflow, your expenses. Yeah. So some part you put into your emergency fund. Yeah. The second uncertain event in your life is, I would like to ask this question is, what is the second uncertain event in your life which can happen and which is not in your control? Yeah. First is your job. And what are the second part? If you can guess or put that message on chat, so it would be a little interactive.
What I would also want to understand, if I'm not
Yeah.
breaking your rhythm, how
Yeah.
do you know your irregular expense in advance? Now, because it's very,
See, be
that is what
true,
makes it irregular, and it is a luxury. Now, see, I'll tell you,
true, true.
luxury mein, probably I can say ki my vacations. What if I want to buy a new car or probably something? How do you?
I'll come to that. It's not in the first part, it's in the second part. So you'll get to know. I'll answer your question for sure, Vinay. So, the part you said, the annual holidays or, a luxury. So you have to distinguish what are your needs and what are your wants. Yeah. So you have to be very precise of what do you need first and what are your wants. So want has to come after planning for your personal hygiene. Yeah. So first is your emergency corpus, which is for your job, job loss. Second is your risk planning, which is your health. Yeah. Health is something which is not in our control, and we have seen during the COVID era, right? Uh, it can happen to us. Yeah, the health is something which is uncertain. We don't know what will happen. Yeah, some disease might get detect in our body, and what will do that time? Yeah. So nowadays, have you seen a lot of advertising coming in the TV that we need donation for the cancer or these big diseases, and they are coming from very good to do family. It's not like they are on streets, living on streets. Yeah. You know why? Because they don't have adequate amount of insurance with them. Yeah. They don't have adequate amount of critical illness insurance with them. And that is why it's happening to them. They're not giving priority to that insurance in their life. And they can easily buy those. It's not like they can't. If they budget properly, they can easily put in their plan. But they have not given that priority and they don't have that kind of adequate knowledge for them. Yeah, that is why they didn't have strong base, and whatever they have built on top of that they have to redeem it and put their money into their healthcare, which they are currently suffering. So that is what I don't want to happen to other people. If you plan properly, it can be solved. You'll get the solution at that point of time. Yeah. So you need to have right amount of health insurance, which also includes critical illness, your life insurance. If you have dependents in your life, your sister, your father, mother, who are dependent in your income, you need to have adequate amount of insurance, life insurance for yourself, which is term insurance. Yeah. Adequate amount of accidental cover for yourself also. Yeah. You have to see all three. And not only that, you have to see, are they cashless or not? Yeah. We take all the insurance we want, but we don't follow all the rules. When we really require those, when you go to the hospital, what if it is not cashless? Yeah. What if you have to do all the documentation? You have to do that exercise before. You have to plan for before doing that. So you have to see what are the cashless hospitals around you. You have to see that first. Yeah. You have to do that exercise for yourself. Very, very important. Yeah. What is the process if it is cashless? What is the process if it is not cashless? Everything you have to see. What are the limits for the bed limits? There are bed limits also mentioned in the Mediclaim. What if it goes outside your required Mediclaim? Yeah. You should see it has no limits to that particular expenses, to the caps. Everything is there. It's very easy, but we don't do that exercise. Yeah. And then at the end, we suffer, we remove money from our savings, our investments, which we have planned for the long term. Yeah. So to ignore that, we have to plan this much. You have to plan for your adequate amount of insurance, do the proper exercise when it comes, when you really require, you are well prepared. Yeah. And the third is after this too, the third is your financial planning, your independent uh, corpus, where you will be financially free. Or you can say retirement. I don't say it retirement because it's very layman and it's very boring. So for me is how fast you can be financially free. Yeah. For example, you're financially free at 50 and 10 years, you do whatever you want to do. If you want to work, you can work. If you want to follow your other passions, travel, you can do that. But financially, you're free at that point of time. We have to reach that point of time. Yeah. Financial freedom corpus. That's what I say. And the fourth should be your aspiration goals. Yeah. And if you skip any of the above stage, you will face some problems or face some challenges. Let's not say problem, but some challenges in your finances in future. Because if you have not done your budgeting properly, you won't know what are your surplus. And if you won't know what are your surplus, you won't allocate to the goals down there, your emergency fund, your risk planning funds, your insurance, and then your financial freedom corpus. Yeah. And you well aware, everybody is well aware how uh, well we are futurely secured, what are the retirement plans government is providing us, especially for the private sectors. It's none. Okay, so we have to make our own retirement plan, a financial freedom plan. Yeah, I will also talk about the which are the investments you can speak, and that is I want to clarify, very simplify for you guys, but later on. But let me just clear that. And then fourth should be your plans, and that's what Jinay said. What about my luxury goals like buying a car or having a luxury vacation? You know, you're going out of the country, having a luxurious vacation, basically. Any goal, buying a house could be a bigger goal for you, right? But it has to come after that. It cannot come before that. And if you do that, you will actually face some challenges in your finances in long run. Not immediately, but in long run for sure. So yeah, this is the basic you have to follow. Basic. Do the budgeting, make an emergency fund, plan your proper insurance, have some funds for your financial freedom corpus. Then you apply for your short term or aspiration goals which you're looking for. Yeah. And if you don't do the simple steps, you'll face some problems. And I've seen people who have done that. Yeah, I've seen. And the ones who have not, who have done it, I've also seen how it actually helping them. So yeah, just simple. Don't make it complicated. Very simple to follow. Yeah. And how do you do that? Simple. Use your Excel. Yeah. You'll have a lot of apps. You will have a lot of knowledge outside, but it won't be customized as per your need. And Excel will do it for you. Yeah. Simple, my plus minus, few formulas to be used. You can Google it out. You'll get it and you will get the answer. Very simple.
I mean, I agree it is simple. Uh, what happens now when we are talking about budgeting techniques? Um, there's a time when sometimes you want to spend a little more, sometimes
Mm,
to not spend. So how do you
totally.
how do you adjust yourself into those situations?
See, for me and for my clients too, normally what I tell them when they making a budget, I tell them put all your expenses there, all your expenses. Also put some amount to your miscellaneous also. Yeah. When you start saving, it won't hurt you because you have done everything in your budget. That's why you're making a budget. Because whatever your expense, if you feel that it is not satisfying my way of life, I have to sacrifice a little. Don't do that. Because if you do that, it is not a long term decision. You will go back again and again because that's your habit, that's your lifestyle. You need that first. Yeah. So have that into your budget already. Put that little space to invest a little more or to spend a little more into your budget. So you don't have to worry at the end where when you start saving for your emergency or your parking money for your premium for your insurance and so on. So that is what I normally do, and it's quite good for them because I never tell them to sacrifice their standard of living, because if I tell them, it actually they eventually do more and break the cycle. Like they won't. It's hard for them to follow. So no, it's very hard. So it is not a user friendly process if you sacrifice your
No, you
luxury
can't
or
you're
your
not, you can't do it for a longer period of time.
exactly. So it's not recommended. So whatever, put your expense, put it,
However,
make
there's
your
one.
that's your personal expense. Yeah, Jen, sorry.
Yeah. No, I agree. So there's one more thing that
Yeah.
I was just going back to my notes of what you've said.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's very interesting that you say ki get your emergency fund in order, get
Yeah.
your insurance in order. After that, get your expenses in order, and after that, you go ahead and think about buying a house. Now, buying a house is a very emotional decision.
Mm.
Why are you saying कि आप एकदम last में करो? Because lot of people who are on the call, I mean, who listen to this podcast, later on, whenever, they want,
Yeah.
but they'll always have this कि नहीं यार मतलब घर लेना है. So we are ready to sacrifice on something else.
Mm.
But, so how, this is the way I have seen my family members, my relatives and everybody doing it.
Mm.
Uh, कि if you're making, let's say, 2 lakh rupees a month or a lakh rupee a month, then the first amount will go into our EMIs and then we'll we'll plan out for the rest of the expenses. What you are saying is कि पहले वो expense कर लो, उसके बाद you go ahead. ऐसे करेंगे तो घर कभी खरीदेगा वो?
वैलिड क्वेश्चन है एक्चुअली, सही बोला आपने। बट वो ही ना, मैं ये नहीं बोल रही हूँ कि आप उसको सैक्रिफाइस करो, पर मैं ये भी नहीं बोल रही हूँ कि आप घर मत खरीदो। मैं आपको बोल रही हूँ जो भी आपका सरप्लस है ना, जो भी एक्सपेंस के बाद, आप थोड़ा अमाउंट उस पर पार्क करो। क्योंकि इमिडिएटली हम नहीं कर रहे हैं कि आपको खाली पहले इमरजेंसी गोल ही पूरा करना है, आपको पहले इंश्योरेंस का प्रीमियम ही पहले इकट्ठा करना है, ऐसा नहीं होता है। यू कांट डू दैट। यू हैव टू पुट योर सरप्लस इन सच अ वे दैट एवरीथिंग इज कमिंग eventually will reach that particular goal.
Correct.
Then only you can go ahead. For example, for me, one of my clients, I was planning, that's how we did. He was planning for a house, and he was very adamant, and it was an emotional purchase because it was his first house. Yeah. So
Right.
we have to plan, we have to prioritize his needs in and that stage of his life. He requires house. Okay. So we have to, it's not like because he wants the house, I ignored all the above goals or the stages we have.
Mhm.
No, I have allocated some amount. It might be slow, but it is not ignored. So eventually in his life, he will achieve emergency goal. We purchased few insurance and started few RDs so that we can purchase the pending insurance eventually, and some EMIs goes to the home EMI. So that is how we do it stage by stage. It's not like we're ignoring that and we're not planning about. We're planning that and we're not doing the rest of it. So it's on your needs and requirements, and that's what I said. Personal finance is very personal to each other. Yeah, we can have a baseline, but it has to be customized according to your needs, your priority at that point of time. And it's very emotional too. It's a very emotional purchase, and I totally understand. So you have to customize it that way.
Let me just also take some questions.
Yeah.
So Rahul's one question seems a little interesting. I mean, little important at the moment.
Okay.
How do you start investing when you are earning less than 25,000 rupees a month?
Because that's
Yeah, this is a little tricky.
super. Yeah, yeah. No, it's so that's how art. Is it Rahul who's asked the question?
Yes.
So Rahul, good question, and I'll share you my experience. Yeah, when I just graduated, I did my masters. I got my first job, which was in mutual fund company, and I used to earn very less. Like I used to earn around 18,000 rupees. Yeah, and I used to stay at my home, so I had no rent expenses. So I used to save like a little good 6,000 rupees surplus. Yeah, so I did all the exercise myself. Yeah, I did my budgeting first. Yet I was earning only 18,000. But I was like, okay, let me implement whatever knowledge I got from the college. Yeah, for my masters. So I did my budgeting of 18,000, whatever the expenses are there, regular, irregular. And then I used to save 5,000. Like that was my surplus. Yeah. From that surplus, I started 1,000 for my emergency fund, 1,000 for my insurance, because I feel if I change job, what if in that span of time I get hospitalized and I don't have insurance? Yeah, the company has insurance. So I made sure that I'll have insurance as well in my investment portfolio. I used to say it's my investment portfolio, it's a financial plan at amount of 18,000. And then some amount for my financial freedom corpus. Yes, I invested for my financial freedom corpus as well. And the rest of the amount, I wanted to buy an iPhone because my dad never bought me an iPhone. Yeah, he used to say it's a luxurious thing. So I was like, no, I want to buy an iPhone. So rest 3,000 I used to put for my 2,000 for my iPhone goal at the fort. And and trust me, Rahul, this actually helped me make a very strong base so that however I grow in my life, the plan was same. The amount just increased. The goals might have added at the fourth level more. So it's not about only 25,000 you earn. It's about the base, very important. If you follow the rules, and it's not like you're just going to earn 25 in your whole life, right? It's going to improve. You're going to develop. But if you don't have base, where are you going to allocate money? That it will be very confusing. So now is the right time. It's going to be very simple, easy for you to follow. Yeah. And now you'll ask me, where should I invest? Jinay, I would like to clarify the investment section also for them, for the youngsters to follow. Like if they're just starting to invest, right? Or they're just starting to save, how should they do it? What are the options available? Because there are so many options available outside. Yeah. So let us make it very layman, like very layman to understand. Yeah. So basically, there are, let's say, three types of asset class. Yeah. So you see, when I'll just give you like some examples so that they understand, and it's little fun. See, if you go to your doctor and you are ill, right? And the doctor says, what should I give you? Injection or pills? It's your option. Yeah. The medicine is same, but you can have two options to invest, you to apply. The effect would be same. So you would say injection or take medicines. Yeah. Similarly, asset class is same, but there are different investments option you can invest through. Yeah. So the first is your equity asset class. Second is your debt asset class. Third, you can say gold. We have gold for us. Who's just starting to invest. Okay. Equity asset class. So if I say word equity to you, yeah, what pops up into your mind normally? You can say stock or shares, something you have that mind. But let us make it more one step down to understand. Equity is basically ownership. Yeah, you're putting an ownership in your company or in your business. Yeah, and when you're running a business, you're a part of loss and profit both. Yeah. So whenever you enter a business, you immediately get returns. No, right? It goes slowly and gradually to come to the break even, at least 10 years to give a break even and to give you a good return out of it. Yeah. And that is how the equity works. Equity works good in long run. Yeah. And not in short run. Now you will also have this question that people have earned money from that short term funds, right? Because they have these three things which I'm saying. And if you don't have these three things, don't go to direct equity. You'll burn your hands. First, you need to have adequate amount of knowledge, when to go, which stock to buy, when to enter, when to go out. Yeah. And for that, you need to have adequate amount of time. And for to 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 get that, third is to have uh, your money, your funds ready to do it. Yeah. Not that expense funds, right, which you are going to spend in that month and you're investing into equity, you'll go into trouble. You need to have excess amount of funds too. And if you don't have these three things and you just go to the equity market or stock, 100% you're going to burn your hands. Yeah. So that you don't do it, I'll give you few formulas or to you, how do you not invest into equity and yet not burn your hands. Yeah. By just investing into funds like Nifty 50, right? For example, you this is a homework for you. Okay. Go for your confidence is, see 10-year rolling return of NSE and BS. It has never given less than double digit return in 10 years, in continuous 10 years. Yeah. Considering 2008 crisis, which happened all over the world, even in India, and stock went really down. If you would have invested your money from the day one to 10th, first year to 10th year, it has never given. Yeah. That is how equity works. That's the nature of equity. And that is how you're going to spread the risk. If you put in short term, you need to have that three things. If not, put into that fund and wait for long run, and it will give you good return comparing, and it will beat the inflation also. Yeah. So that is how you invest into equity, and that is how I started investing. I had 1,000 rupees. I started an SIP in Nifty 50 BlackRock. I didn't have that much knowledge of how to analyze it. I didn't have that much time or that much money to do the gambling. But I knew that if I invest into equity at that point of time and wait for long run, because that was my surplus amount, I didn't care. I just invested. It has given me good return. It's almost 8 years now I've started investing. Good returns. I am not even worried about it. Yeah. And leave it for long run, and it has always given you return. For you to gain that confidence in equity, do that homework which I've told you. Yeah. And second is your debt. So what is debt? Debt is basically loans. Yeah. whoever you give money, for example, FD is such a debt. For example, bank is taking money from you, investing into secure investments as per the RBI rules, and giving you certain rate of return. Yeah, because they have taken loan from you. So that is a fixed rate of return, and that's why they say debt is little less risk. Yeah, very less risk compared to equity. Yeah, but you have to see what kind of risks we are speaking. Yeah. If you put your debt money for 10 years into FD, you will have inflation risk. Yeah. The money will deplete. So you have to see what goals you're investing and which asset class is proper for you. Yeah. What type of medicine we have to take, that comes secondary. First, you have to see which goal requires proper asset class. Yeah. And third is your gold. Always put some amount into your gold as well. Yeah. See, forbid, there were a situation of war which should not happen in our country, and our country is really strong, right? If we don't have it, and if we have some money parked into gold, it comes really handy. Yeah. And it's good to invest into gold, some part of gold. So diversify it into right asset class as per your goals. Yeah. Now let us see what are the options we have to invest in that asset class. Yeah. First, equity. Best, my favorite is mutual fund. Very easy to invest, very easy to track, and very highly liquid. Liquid. Very easy to liquidify the funds. Yeah. You can also invest into direct shares or stocks if you have adequate amount of knowledge, time, and money. Yeah. These are the two favorite things you can invest into equity. Right. Let's come to the second, debt category. Debt category is you can go with a mutual fund also. Mutual fund is the way you invest in that asset class. Is you'll have corporate bonds, portfolios. In that corporate bonds, gold bonds, different kind of bonds, which normally a person cannot buy. You'll have a portfolio of that, and you can invest in that. Yeah. And third is your gold. The gold everyone knows, very famous. Yeah. So if you first need to know the asset class, which aligns with your goals, and second, through which you have to invest in that particular goal, into that asset class. I hope I'm making some sense
Yeah,
or
I mean,
clarifying a little easier for you to understand. Yeah.
let's say, I mean, if somebody is just, starting to
Yeah.
sort of invest at this point in time,
Yeah.
I think they should they be more worried about getting into debt or something? Because you mentioned very nicely that, might just go for an index fund,
Mm, mm,
Nifty 50 fund, right? Because even
mm,
Warren Buffett, the god of investing, has always said that if when he dies, take his money and put it into an index fund, because a lot of the active equity investing will not be able to beat the returns of what an index
mm,
will give.
mm, mm,
So how did you go about, or you just said कि चलो ठीक है ये एक Nifty 50 fund दिख रहा है तो मैंने डाल दिया. But what I'm trying to say is that a 25-year-old or a 22-year-old kid, a person is listening to this.
mm.
They say that, how do I even choose? Because इतना सारा तो Nifty 50 का मतलब everybody's come out with Nifty 50. So where do I park? What do I do? How do I make sense of things?
Makes sense. Yeah, totally. It's a very important question because there are so many there are so many mutual funds giving Nifty 50, right? Every mutual fund has their Nifty 50 because it's same. Nifty 50 is just of the funds which a top 50 companies are investing. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about it. It's just a replication mirror of market. Yeah. So that's why for me, I knew what was Nifty 50 and how does it work. Yeah. I had that faith that in stock Indian market, that in long run it will make money for me and it has a good track record also. So I was like, okay, let me just put, so I didn't have knowledge about which particular share is very helpful for me. Yeah. But I knew that the market will help me. Yeah. What market? The top 50 companies of Nifty. So I said, okay, let me just, and all the portfolio you compare, any mutual fund company, if you go, they have the same because it's just mirroring the Nifty 50, 50 companies of Nifty 50. And what is the best part is we don't have to care which company went, which company went out. The system will, the mutual fund will do it for us. So whoever escalate after second year, the new company comes as a Nifty 50. It's done by the mutual fund company for us. Yeah, we just have to invest. So that's how I invested. You don't have to worry that which mutual fund to invest in. If you invest into Nifty 50, it will make you money in the long run. And I'm not saying that you just have to invest into Nifty 50. You can also diversify. So eventually, as I started earning more, I diversified my funds into long term funds or short term funds. Short term funds, little, like not my immediate money, which was there for my surplus. I obviously put into Nifty 50, but eventually I earned little more money. So I went for large caps, balance funds, I also invested into NPOs because I was into mutual fund companies. And yeah, I earned a little good money out of it.
So
So
now,
the ones who are just want to clarify, the ones who are just starting and want to start planning, go for Nifty 50. It's mirroring the Nifty 50 companies of the markets.
this,
Any will be okay.
yeah, it's safe, right?
Yeah.
For everything. So I'm just trying to think about. I'm just trying to think about, let's say a 24-year-old, 25-year-old person
Yeah.
making some money. There's so much work that he needs to do, na, कि how do they even assess कि उनको कितना insurance चाहिए? For
Hmm.
example, I mean, there's
So
just so
true.
much work. Even,
Yeah.
and then it also comes to कि कौन सा fund लेना है, क्या करना है.
Hmm.
Because most of the time they might just end up, buying some sort of a life insurance fund if they have some uncle who's coming home.
Oh,
Or I'm just thinking aloud. I mean,
yeah.
what do they do at this point in time? And let's say, how do they reach people like you? You know, yeah, this is what I have. Or how do they make sure they are able to reach a financial advisor
Hmm.
who will work in their interest?
Hmm.
वो
See,
सब
that's
कैसे हो?
That's what we are working for, Jinay. Like I feel there's a scarcity of genuine knowledge, a basic general knowledge, which to be taught in colleges or into higher school, which they can, use it in their day-to-day life, but it's not there. Yeah, that's where we come in picture, where whatever we can do in our stage, let's do that. If Instagram, I have certain amount of followers, let me start with that. Yeah. And when I started with that, I got so many people coming to me that this is so basic and we were not being educated. Like, why are we not given this basic knowledge? Why we are not given,
What I'm trying to tell you, Neha, from here is that it's not about we doing. So a lot
yeah,
of people are doing a lot of things. It's about
yeah.
how they assess that this is the person who will work in my best interest.
For them, I would just say, tell that if not person, but at least the process. They can follow the process, right?
Hmm.
Whatever I said, if you had any reference to it, that it will really help you, right? For example, to have an emergency fund, to have an adequate amount of insurance, to have some funds for your, if that is not aligning to your needs. For example, if my need is to buy a house, but if he or she is not helping you align your finances for your future problems or future challenges, then it is not good for you. It has to be as per your needs. Yeah. For example, I it's a good question, Jinay, because I used to work into a banking sector, and people used to come to us, right? And in the banking sector, nobody knows about it. Yet the first pop things comes in our mind when it says कि मुझे I want to invest is bank. Yeah. And nowadays, when I used to work, there was no knowledge as financial planning ladder, like what they really require. So this is the hard work which you have to do. Yeah. I was there because I had that knowledge, but they will just sell you the products which is high in commission for them. Yeah. That is the truth of the industry right now. And that is how it goes. Yeah. And lot of mis-selling happens like that, even in the banking sector. Yeah. That is where the basic knowledge of financial planning come in picture. If you know you need to have to do budgeting, emergency corpus, adequate amount of insurance, and if it is not aligning and your house, and if it is not aligning to your goal, then it's useless. Like it's no use. So you have to make that first step for yourself. Write it down. I always tell my viewers on Instagram or my clients, always write down what do you really need and just it clears your mind. I will always give you that few steps to follow. The ladder is always there, financial hygiene ladder is always there, but unless you do your homework, like what you require in your life, nothing will help you. Yeah, don't be confused, write it down on the paper, which will actually help you. And if that is not aligning to what the other opposite person, if you go to an advisor, then it's not for you. Yeah, that person should make it very simplified for you, whatever your requirements are. Then he is helpful for you. Yeah, then it is required. Okay, fine. If I need money, so basic, what is the meaning of financial planning? You have to understand that is getting the right amount of money at the right time. Yeah, and if that is not happening, given by the advisor, no, don't go. If you don't understand what he's trying to or he's trying to say, hard to follow, don't go there. Yeah, it has to be very, very simple to follow and customized to your needs.
I think, when we were even having a discussion, then you
Yeah,
said you spoke about your two bank account uh, angle. So
yeah.
just elaborate on that. I mean, how does a
So
financial advisor work that way?
yeah, you know, when you start investing, right? You invest not for short term. You're going to invest for long term. It's your full life plan, right? And to make the full life plan, you need to uncomplicate your transactions of your banking, right? When you see your banking, you have to track, oh, this much expenses I've done, this much investment I've done. It should not be like that. If you're investing for the long term, always have to have a proper financial hygiene. Always have two bank accounts. Yeah. I always recommend three, but two is also okay. Yeah. First is your expense account and second is your investment account. Yeah. If you have done the process, which I said, the budgeting, getting the surplus. Yeah. Once the amount is credited to your expense account, immediately on that second day or that day, put that surplus to your investment account. Yeah, it has to be different. And what it will do, it give you clarification to make decisions in your life. It makes you really, really clean. Yeah. You know what happens when you set your clothes ka board, right? You fold your clothes properly, and when you know that what I have to wear, it's just come out. It's like that. When you part your money, investments and expenses aside, decision making becomes really faster. It makes a process for you to not automatic process for you, so that you don't have to always put that amount or you have to keep that money in your bank account and you forgot, oh, I did that, I spend that much amount and the EMI is going to go right now. That for to ignore that kind of tension, always have two bank accounts. Yeah, first is your expense account and second is investments account. How it works, so basically, what I am going to tell is it whatever you're going to follow this, it's going to make automatic system for yourself. Yeah. Once this is one time exercise. Yeah. And you can review it every year, but it's just one time exercise. It will take some time. But once you follow this, it would be easier for you to follow your financial plan. Once you make that two bank account, allocate the ECS from your investment account and some expenses, whatever expense, mobile bill, everything ECS, you go from that expense account, it becomes automatic. And you don't have to worry that, oh, this amount, this account has that much money, the EMI is going to go. That worry is gone. It simplifies your personal finance and it's magical. Like have two bank accounts and you'll see. I always have little EMIs going on from my expense account. So I was like, okay, I don't have to worry because on the day second when the amount got credited, I've aside my investments ahead and my expenses ahead. So
Say
it's
you have,
really helpful, in fact.
let's say you have two bank accounts.
Yeah.
Salary gets credited in bank account A.
Okay.
Okay, and you say, okay, so and B is your investment account, right?
Hmm.
Bank account for investments.
Hmm.
Salary gets credited in bank account A.
Yeah.
On the very same day or the next day, there has to be an auto debit instruction to the bank to take some portion out of bank A and put into bank B.
Hmm.
And then whatever money and what you're trying to say is what are your, let's say, regular expenses. It can be electricity, it can be your mobile bills, internet bills, that can go on auto debit.
Yeah.
Okay. And the rest you start to, and then there is that rest of money which is available to you to actually, you have to make sure that your bank account A is goes to zero. So you are able to even live and enjoy and spend money while your bank account B is there on, and the investments have been done from there.
Yeah, like exactly what you're saying. But bank account A also have your irregular expenses. Just
Okay.
mentioning it out
That's what
because
I was
that is what we have to do an RD for. That is our expenses, but in
thinking.
future. So we do an RD on that account and we make
Okay.
provisions for our long-term expenses.
So
It's
from
up
A itself, you don't
from
touch
A
the
itself because that is our expense. When you did the budgeting, it's very clear your regular and irregular expense mentioned very clearly. So
if I have a vacation that is coming up, let's say 6 months down the line,
expense,
then it goes from bank A. It
banking.
becomes an
Yes.
RD. It becomes a recurring deposit. It
Yeah.
just it just sits there when I want to take it. It does
Yes.
it does not form a part of my investment bank account. Quite
No.
interesting. So bank account B, which is investment, you are using it for your probably buying a house, buying a car, retirement, financial freedom, whatever. Very
Yeah.
something which is like more than 1 year or 2 year or 3 year का time frame जो मेरा बाद में आएगा, or I may not have to touch that money for a very long period of time.
Yeah, you can say, but whatever comes after budgeting, like your emergency fund, has to go from your investment account.
Okay.
Your health insurance premium can go from your expense account, but I normally say it has to be different. It
Hmm.
comes beneath that. Have health insurance from your investment account. Second, your investments, your long-term investments, has to go from that particular account, basically. So it's not 1 year or 2 years. It's from budgeting expenses above and budget rest surplus planning down. So it has to be like that.
So what you're trying to say is you even build your emergency corpus आराम से, where you're not uh, आपका emergency corpus भी build हो रहा है, इंश्योरेंस का भी पैसा जा रहा है, लॉन्ग टर्म सेविंग्स भी हो रहा है, and you are living your life at the moment. So we are not putting a break straight away कि नहीं नहीं पहले तो यही करो, फिर बाद में ये, फिर बाद में ये. व्हाट यू ट्राइंग टू से सब साथ में हो सकता है, सब स्मूथली हो सकता है, उसको खाली एक प्रोसेस में डालो, एक सिस्टम में डालो.
एग्जैक्टली. एंड वो तुम्हें समटाइम्स वी आल्सो फॉरगेट कि हमने वो इन्वेस्टमेंट शुरू किया है, कि वो प्रोसेस में चल रहा है, वो ऑटोमेटिकली डिडक्ट हो जाता है, इन्वेस्टमेंट अकाउंट में चला जाता है. एंड नाउ इट इज वेरी इजी because we can link everything and we can make a mandatory ECS to that bank account. So we know our salary when it's going to come, right? Especially for salaried people who are just earning. Even for business people, you can do, but it has to be customized as per your income, how the income comes in your bank account. Just put that ECS on the day second if it's coming on first or third, and automatically it goes and वो automatically चलता रहता है. अगर आपको शुरू करना है तो आप थोड़ा ECS का अमाउंट शुरू इंक्रीज भी कर सकते हैं, and which can easily be done through applications. That is also what I want to speak about. So yeah.
So I'm just trying to get at one point is
Yeah.
ये सब सुनने में बहुत अच्छा भी लग रहा है. And it sounds really good. It sounds very possible.
Mm,
Yet, there are so many mistakes we tend to do from time to time. So what
mm.
are some of those common mistakes, जो ये वाले process में you've encountered with your clients?
मिस्टेक तो नहीं बोल सकते, हम बोल सकते हैं कि चेंजेस आते हैं इन कमिंग years, because this is not once. If we make this first plan, yeah, it's not going to be same. It's going to keep on changing because the person's will also grow in his life, right? He will have his family. He'll get, obviously he'll get married, then he'll have family, then he'll have in-laws. Maybe some changes, not in-laws if they're staying in, but he'll buy a car. So it keeps on changing, and it has to be keep on checking day by day. Yeah. And second part meaning to that question can be, see, when I started, if a person came to me, right, and if I tell them to do budgeting, and they're like, okay, I have to start with budgeting. I'm like, yes, I can't even tell you to invest here. Or they always come to me with the perspective of, मेरे को इन्वेस्ट करना है, या बट आई डोंट फॉलो दैट. आई फॉलो लाइक अगर तुम्हें फाइनेंशियल प्लान बनाना है प्रॉपरली, लेट्स स्टार्ट विद बजट. या हम देखते हैं कि जो भी तुम इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हो लॉन्ग टर्म तक तुम सस्टेन कर पाओगे भी कि नहीं. What if you require that money in second year or third year, right? So that is what I encountered. Like if they just come with the view of investing, but actually if they have to follow this, or if they don't, I might give them wrong medicine, or they will, they'll have the digestion problem in future, and they have to liquidate that money again. So I don't want that. So that is the mistake they do. When they did budgeting, they got that reality check. Oh, I'm spending so much, and that's why I was asking money from that person. Yeah, they get the reality check or make a decision so that, oh, now I have to reduce this much expenses and I can. Yeah, so that I don't follow into that trouble, which is very painful, and it can be taken care if I do proper budgeting. So that is how.
When they come to you, of
Yeah.
course. So I'll tell
See,
you हमारे यहाँ पे कैसा होता है indirect. So the way we
mm,
work for our portfolios, when they come to
mm,
when they talk to us about their money,
mm,
they usually listen to some influencer कि ये वाला portfolio है, ये stock अच्छा है, वो stock अच्छा है. Do you also
mm.
encounter that same problem when they come to
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Very common questions. Very common questions. They encounter like which they normally ask कौन सा शेयर अच्छा है, कौन
Hmm.
सा इन्वेस्टमेंट अच्छा है, मुझे वो बता दो, मैं उसमें ही इन्वेस्ट करूंगा.
Hmm.
ये उनका नॉर्मल क्वेश्चन है. Which share is best, high interest, but I have to give them a reality check. Like let's see, because I work as a financial planner. I don't give and I don't tackle with direct equity.
Hmm.
If you have come to me, I'll follow the path, which is
Hmm.
very simple, but I'll follow from the budgeting. And then I'll tell them, okay, this much is there, and then we'll start with basic, you know. It's
Hmm. No, what I was also trying to say is, do they come to you knowing, कि अच्छा ये वाले influencer ने ऐसा बोला है, या they must have read something somewhere, and then,
mm,
how does that work? I mean, I'm just trying to understand, because what happens is there's so much information out there for them
mm, mm,
that they actually struggle to digest. Now, a lot of that information is practically useless. It is some of which is
mm,
misinformation, and they are actually struggling, right, in order to make sense of everything. Now, how do you go to them and talk to them? Because so I'll give you an example or set a stage for you. And this is that somebody would have just probably, heard someone somewhere on, probably, or read a blog. I don't know, reading happens off lately, but probably,
or blog.
on a YouTube or somewhere, and they say, all right, this is that level, of this is insurance, and this is how you need to do it. और ऑफ लेटली जो सबसे ज्यादा चल रहा है इज
Mm,
इन्वेस्ट फर्स्ट एंड स्पेंड लेटर. सो नाउ विच इज ट्रूथ? आई एम नॉट सेइंग इट इज रॉन्ग. It is
yeah.
true. You need to do that way. But when that
Mm,
budgeting needs to happen, that is where they don't. And
mm,
कहीं ना कहीं there's a lot of, something like नहीं करना है sort of a thing. We don't want to do these kind of things.
mm, mm.
How do you go past those initial hiccups?
I don't force them. This is my
अच्छा.
first option, and I'll tell them, I'll give them a reality check. Yeah, if the person is really serious,
Hmm.
like I really want to know how does it work. I really want. I see how sincere that person is about. Yeah, all questions are welcome. I'll answer all the questions. But if he's not sincere in following of what he really requires in his life,
Hmm.
then it's no question. Yeah, if you're confused, it's fine. But are you sincere that you really want solution? You really want to simplify your finances?
Hmm.
That then I can help that person. Yeah, the person who is really adamant and want to just argue about it, I cannot, I want best investment, मुझसे नहीं हो रहा है. तो आप काफी बड़े हैं, आप already वो maturity है, you're earning person, right? And if you're really sincere, I'll make a plan for you and I'll give you the reality check. अगर आप ऐसा करेंगे, this would be a replication. अगर आप ऐसा नहीं करेंगे, तो this would be a replication. And after that, that is their decision to make. I really keep that decision to themselves because they are wise. And after that, I can't do anything to them.
Agreed. Absolutely
Yeah.
agreed. What are the top three financial goals that you feel, somebody in their 20s and 30s should actually have, rather than the
Mm.
ones that they are currently having?
Hmm.
Exactly क्या होना चाहिए? Is this is what even I see in lot of, I mean, when I even start Instagram and all that, a lot of my friends who are on EMIs all the time, they are going for vacations, and eventually पता होता है because we are friends, so हमको internally तो बात पता होता है that the couple is struggling
Hmm.
with unimaginable, some expense comes up from somewhere and they are not able to do it, and this is despite of, like you said कि they are not sincere enough to follow the financial plan तो बना देते हैं, and but they are not, somewhere I feel कि वो prioritize नहीं हो पा रहा है. So what are those two three things that they should prioritize when they are starting their journeys, when they are, because when you're in your 20s, when you're in your early 30s, like both of us are, the world is open to you. You've got another
Hmm.
30, 40 years of work right in front
Hmm.
of you. So
True.
how do you prioritize your goals?
I'll tell you my case. So how I do it normally, so to be clarified for others, is not because I have that much knowledge, but because I follow. See, I don't want to complicate a lot of stuff. The main goals for you is what I said. Make that budget. Why not? It gives you so much clarity in your life to how much amount you have, right? What ECS is, what irregular expenses you have, how much extra can happen, that everything you can plan in future. Yeah, it's like you're making your future plan advance and you can make strategies to win a war. It's like that. And if you can't, it will actually help you. Yeah, do that budgeting. Make that emergency fund should be your main priority in your life. Emergency fund. You never know, anything can happen. You need to have that kind of expenses, 6 months of expenses in your life. Very, very important.
Hmm.
Have adequate amount of insurance. That is the reason, that's the two uncertain event in your life which can happen, right? You have to have insurance. You have to have that critical illness cover in your. Uh, so first, I'll just tell you what are the minimum barriers. Like minimum, you need to have that much. It's like at least 10 lakh health cover for yourself. If you don't use it, it will actually doubles, right? In particular intervals. So it might happen 20 lakh. Have at least 50 or 75 lakh of critical illness. At least 1 crore. And if you plan really now and you know the EMI, the premiums, you can actually plan for that eventually. Yeah. Have that term insurance. Whatever your goals are, make the future value, calculate the future value of that thing, and understand how much require. And nowadays there are calculators available to calculate how much insurance you'll require. That is also very freely available. Calculate that how much term insurance you need. At least 2 crore investments if you are dependent on your you have dependency on your family, like you are a sole earner. Very, very important, because these are the two uncertain. Third is your financial freedom corpus. If you are a private, from the private firm, the private company, then you need to have that goal, because government is not giving us anything after retirement. You need to have that goal. Putting into right asset class is very important. Yeah, if you put it to FD, to debt, it won't give you, it won't surpass your personal inflation. Yeah. Uh, at least this much you do. Fourth is your aspiration goals. Yeah, that you do, you can adjust later on, but at least do your budgeting, have that emergency corpus, have adequate amount of insurance in yourself and your financial freedom corpus. This much is very, very important. Yeah, rest you can plan eventually. Basic
Hygiene पहले देख लो.
hygiene पहले, हाँ, very
Really
important.
don't need to say कि यूरोप ट्रिप चाहिए या you
नहीं,
know
होना चाहिए, होना
Maldives
चाहिए.
चाहिए.
You should always wish for it. Nothing is beating you, but this, पहले ये देखो. और ऐसा नहीं है कि आप अपना यूरोप ट्रिप मिस करोगे. आप
Hmm.
उसको भी प्लान कर सकते हो उसी समय. थोड़ा थोड़ा अमाउंट हर गोल को प्रायोरिटाइज करो. और यूरोप ट्रिप को भी डालो 2,000. मैंने जैसे मोबाइल आईफोन में डाला था, डालो अपना जो भी सरप्लस आ रहा है, एंड यू विल सी, you'll have that confidence. Okay, I'm aligning to all the goals.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So अगर वो नहीं कर पाए, they can always reach you.
Yeah.
You can always help them do it. We'll take
Always,
a couple of
always.
questions from.
Yeah.
Uh, so Sanya has a very interesting question. Ki, what is a financial hack you've taken from your family that you
My
still follow?
family. I have taken none. In fact, the
Okay.
masters which I have done has
Uh,
actually given me a lot of hacks, given me basic knowledge, and then eventually I created my own hacks from that. The basic has to be clear. The concept should be clear, and top of that, you can do however you want. For example, I hack in the sense the process I have done as an hack. For example, I've taken an application which has given me really good accessibility to my FDs and RDs. If I want to liquidate, it's easier for me. The process becomes really like on my hand. So that is the hack I've used. For my mutual fund, there's a linked demat account which I have got through from the banking, and I can invest my investments. It's totally linked from my banking account. So it's easier for me to do the transaction and check, redeem it if I need, or, allocate, allocate. It's easier for me. And that is the hack I usually discovered as I started investing. By how I did it, first I made the basic plan, and then with the processes, a lot of hacks helped me to go smoother.
so with that, I think, it's been lovely talking to you for the last 1 hour, 15 minutes. Uh, I think time
I
just
hope
flew.
it really helps the ones who are listening, and something in one person. I normally say at the end of my session, like, if one person might have followed this,
Hmm.
fruitful.
No, no, definitely. I think there are a lot of people out there, they will follow what you're saying because
Sure.
from what I have understood, it makes a lot of sense. You've really tried your best to simplify things. I'll just walk through whatever
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
written, and uh, you can just add it, fill in the blanks if you feel, as probably a summary of this session. So basically, your and my generation, both of us are very, very similar. We didn't have a bank account
Um,
till the time, there was an event that triggered. So
yeah.
the event that triggered for you was taking an education loan. For me, it was having my first paycheck.
Mm,
When it comes to the generation of today, the event that triggers is that they want to make a payment, right? So they need
mm,
a bank account, they need their UPI wallets in place, and some money probably that just goes into their accounts, and they are just spending it left, right, and center.
mm, mm,
I think what you also said is that because there is a zero balance account, which a lot of these banks have now come up with, it really enables this sort of, I mean, it really enables Gen Zs and millennials actually to be in a position where they're able to have multiple bank accounts very quickly.
mm,
And we also touched upon a very interesting thing that you said is you start from your regular expenses, you go to your irregular ones you divide it by 12 so that it comes into a monthly basis. आपका हर महीने का regular expense, हर महीने का irregular expense,
yeah.
and then you just deduct it from the total, the monthly income that you're getting, and you're able to arrive at a number which you will be able to save, which
Yeah.
is very, I mean, which is a very good way. And from that savings, you can create your emergency fund, you can have your insurances in place. We also touched upon health insurance, critical insurance. I think critical insurance, you said it very well that you require it at 60, 75 lakhs, 1 crore. It's not a topic that gets discussed a lot because nobody wants to believe that 30 years down the line I'll have a life-threatening disease and I really need to, save money for that. But
Mm.
nevertheless, लेना चाहिए. It is of more of a personal hygiene.
One thing I want to add here is, like, earlier you take your term insurance, cheaper it is. Not health insurance, but term insurance. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
it's good
insurance
if you.
is saying कि आप 10 लाख का health insurance ले लो.
Mm,
Critical insurance somewhere around 75 lakhs to 1 crore. Term insurance, what do you say? What should a person take it at?
uh, I took it at when I was 27. I took it for like 1 crore, which was very cheaper for me.
How much was it
And I paid around 6,000
per year?
per year. Yeah.
That is
One
like
crore.
for 500 rupees a month. You're getting.
Yeah, like very cheap because I was young and they gave me on my salary slip. And I was like, yeah, okay, give me. And I didn't because I didn't want, it was not my need. No, but I was just staying with my family. There was no dependency on my income. But
Hmm.
because it was a in my plan, which was there given to my from my college, which I've learned. I have to take term insurance, so I took earlier age, so very cheap, and eventually you can increase as per your requirement.
So even if somebody is at 23, 24, and they want to buy a 1 crore insurance or a 2 crore, based on probably it's based on their salaries and a lot of things goes around that. I think a 6, 10,000 rupees is not a lot of money to buy that kind of
Yeah.
okay.
And also one thing is like it's okay, it's not giving you anything at return, but it is planning for your uncertain events in your life. Yeah. What if your income is somebody depends on your income? Then
Mm.
there's a question like it's better to have earlier. See,
Mm.
normally people get married by 29, 30. That's the right time to buy a health insurance, term insurance basically. It's cheaper for them.
Um, then you also spoke about a client of yours who wanted to buy a house because that was the whole point, right? कि इतना सब कर लेगा तो फिर घर का पैसा कब लेगा? So, but eventually you just said कि that happens. He is able to buy his house, but it's also a lot of things go stage by stage. Like you rightly said from one of the questions that you need, regardless of the money that you're making. Now, this is what I also found very interesting is कि a lot of people think कि ये जो सारा ज्ञान है फाइनेंशियल प्लान का बजटिंग का इट ओनली अप्लाइज टू पीपल हु आर मेकिंग अ लॉट ऑफ मनी नॉट पीपल हु आर मेकिंग lesser money but
Yeah.
like you rightly said is you have to follow the rules regardless of where you are in the
Mm.
pecking order of your salaries. Okay. That was quite interesting honestly. Then of course the asset class equity and one thing that you said is that if you are here for the next 8 to 10 years then only invest. I mean otherwise what's the whole point? Go into and if you don't understand a lot of things just go for a simple nifty 50 index fund and you're like
Any mutual fund company will be okay. That Nifty 50 is same everywhere, so don't worry about it.
take care. हाँ मतलब we
Uh,
also don't have a lot of a dog in the fight for any mutual fund company मतलब we are not promoting anyone so
Yeah, like
that
any
also
Nifty
goes for
50.
us. Equity if anybody wants to do it you said they need to have the knowledge time and money.
If they want to have into direct equity, like
That
shares,
sounds
yeah,
correct.
then it's fine to only if you have these three things, then you invest, or else you'll burn your hands.
Correct. And then, like a true Indian, like a true Bharatiya, you said always put your money in gold because gold is
Yeah.
heavy hai. मतलब-
So
और-
like that, don't put simple, don't put
Hmm,
all the eggs in one basket.
correct.
Distribute a little bit of
Have
it.
some exposure to debt funds
Yeah.
or fixed deposit or something like that. And then we also spoke about your two bank account
Mm.
method, which was very interesting, and we went into a lot of details in understanding bank A, bank B, and how we are going to work on it. I think we've covered probably a basic sort of a masterclass for anybody who actually wants to go out there,
Yeah.
actually think, uh, ki, how do I go about it? Is there anything
See,
that you'd like to add more on this?
I just want to brief what I said with step by step. I'll take like 5 minutes, don't worry.
Sure.
Uh, First, you have to do so. Summary of you can make the process automatic is first make the budgeting. Yeah, regular, irregular. Have the expenses, divide by your income, get the surplus, make two bank accounts, one for your expense account and one for your investment account. Yeah, put your surplus into your investment account and put all your expenses in your expenses account. Yeah, it can be your salary account also where the salary is credited. Put your amount. I also told you how to calculate your emergency fund, your expenses plus your monthly investments into six. Yeah, that would be your emergency fund. That is your target. Second is your adequate amount of insurance. Whatever surplus is there, allocate some amount to that, to the premium of your insurance. Have adequate amount of health insurance, adequate amount of critical illness cover in your health insurance, your term insurance. This three is very important. Okay. And second is your uh, financial freedom corpus, yeah, which is your uh, at which age you'll be financially free. Yeah, you can do whatever you want after that, but financially free, which age you have to put some amount into equity because compounding is the last wonder of the world. Yeah, you do, and equity is the only asset class which will make you wealth. Yeah, and making wealth is not hard; it's easy. Put into right asset class for longer term. You'll at the right time. Okay, with consistency it will make you well. Yeah, the compounding will do its work, the asset class will do its work. pour into that. And fourth comes your aspiration goals. Yeah. And it's not mandatory that you have to focus on emergency. It can be done simultaneously. So yeah, that's the summary.
Superb. I think, thank you so much, Neha, for
Most
taking the
most
time.
welcome. It's
Wish
a
you all
pleasure.
the best and really feel, we need more people like you out there who have the
Thank
passion
you.
to educate um, people and not just, dish out the same old theories. So thank you. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you so much, Jinay. Thank you so much for calling me and giving this opportunity to say and explore, to the audience who can listen to this knowledge and conversation. And it was my pleasure to come, in fact. Thank you so much.
Thank you.